Kanye West was on Drink Champs. Kanye pretty much touched on everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all heard he's talked about Big Sean, who's better between Big Sean, Pusha T. He's talked about Talib Kweli. He slandered him. He said Common was better than Talib, and he talked about Kim Kardashian, a whole bunch of other stuff. Kanye was talking about a versus battle. Nori was like, yo, Kanye, would you do a versus battle? And Ye was like, yes, absolutely I would. And the obvious person to go up against Ye in a versus would be Drake. Now, but Kanye also said, you know, I give him credit. He said that he would take on anybody in a versus battle. And me personally, Kanye would be a lot to deal with in a versus battle. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel right here. I appreciate all my supporters. I love y'all. But Kanye would definitely be a hard out in a versus battle. I mean, with Kanye, you got to break him down into different segments. Well, not really, just two mainly. You got to break Kanye down into production and also his work and his albums. And you could honestly, arguably say, and get into arguments about this, that Kanye's got about 4 or 5 albums in his stash and in the bag that could be considered either close to a classic or some might consider classic albums. I mean, we could run it down right here. He started off with The Graduate. His first album was College Dropout, in which we all know was an immaculate album. Then he had Late Registration, which was, these albums right here is untouchable. College Dropout, Late Registration, The Graduation, 808 and Heartbreak was a different kind of vibe right there. I really didn't gravitate towards that album too much, you know, because of all the auto-tune and all of that. But then he came back with My Dark Twisted Fantasy, which was a banging album. He had Watch the Throne with Jay-Z. He had Yeezus, The Life of Pablo. I mean, Kanye's albums and his catalog is pretty hard to go up against. You know, once you start doing, you know, his solo material and having his featured material, he did a lot of joints with Jay-Z. He did a lot of joints with other artists that was just massive hits. So putting Kanye's features and his solo efforts up against anybody is gonna be a hard task. And then Kanye in his production bag has produced some of the most classic bangers of all time. So if you wanna put Kanye up against a producer and not necessarily an MC or rapper like Drake, then that producer is gonna have his hands full. Even if we hypothetically did a Kanye versus Just Blaze battle, Kanye pretty much slandered Just Blaze on Drink Champs and said Just Blaze copied his style and imitated his style on the Blueprint album, which they both had production credits for. One for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, one of his best albums, one of his, you know, classic albums, one of his Jay-Z's. The Blueprint is, in my opinion, is one of Jay-Z's top 2 albums between Reasonable Doubt and the Blueprint. Both of them is right there. But Kanye, you know, pretty much produced the bulk of that album. And Kanye also produced The Takeover, one of the illest and meanest diss tracks of all time. So there's not too many producers seeing Kanye when he's in his production bag. I mean, we gotta keep it 1,000 right here. I mean, Drake has his massive hits. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a real big Drake dude like that. Never have I been a real big Drake dude like that. But I respect, you know, real recognize real, and I respect Drake's, you know, his artistry. You know, his pen, even though some say that Drake has had a questionable pen, you know, because of his quote unquote ghostwriters that he's had, you know, previously before, or, you know, that's all up in the air. You know, I'm not here to decide if he did or if he didn't. I wasn't in the studio when he was writing or doing whatever he was doing with them tracks or recording those songs. I mean, listen, people have said Kanye has had, and Kanye straight up admit to you that he uses ghostwriters. So Kanye doesn't write his own material either. Styles P has penned some joints for Conway. Styles P has penned some joints for Kanye. So, I mean, Kanye tell you in a heartbeat, yeah, I don't use my own pen when it comes to a lot of my songs, if not all of his songs. I mean, Ye was even trying to get Drake to pen some joints for him, which is ironic, but yeah, I mean, Drake has his massive hits. So I don't know, in a versus battle between these two, to break this down is hard. I mean, Drake's album, you know, Drake is gonna hit you with the rap joints and the singing joints. And we all know Drake has got the pop commercial joints that have sold hundreds of millions of copies. So, you know, Drake is untouchable in his own lane, and in his own right. Drake is untouchable with what he does. At the end of the day, I would give this versus to Kanye West, because like I said, I'm looking at Kanye not just from a performance or a rapping aspect as a lyricist or an MC, but I'm also looking at Kanye from his production bag and all the production that he's done. I mean, Kanye has literally produced some of the most classic and timeless songs of the last 20 years. I mean, let's just keep it a thousand right here. So I would more or less lean towards no doubt Kanye West in this verses. I don't even think, you could say it's close, but I really don't think it's close. But I would love to know what y'all think about it. And as well, Kanye did bring up before I get up out of here, Kanye did bring up a valid point in this Drink Champs episode when he said that, we all know that Drake leaked the song Life of the Party featuring Andre 3000 that was supposed to be on the original album cut of Kanye's album Donda, which came out a couple months ago. I guess from what Kanye said, he's releasing a deluxe version, probably coming out like around end of the year, like around Christmas time, to get, more of y'all money, more of y'all streams or whatever. It's gonna have some more joints on there, some more bangers, hopefully some more bangers on there. Cause Donda, it was aight. It had a couple bangers on there, don't get me wrong, but the album was light. It was real light. But Life of the Party, which was leaked by Drake, to me, that song was actually one of my favorite songs to drop this year. So I have to agree with Kanye on that. That Life of the Party featuring Andre 3000, 3 Stacks. 3 Stacks had one of the best verses of the year on that song. If you didn't get a chance to hear it, it's available, it's out there for consumption. But 3 Stacks and Kanye's verse on that song was very, very dope as well. Let's not discredit Ye on that joint. But Andre 3000, 3 Stacks. He had he did have verse of the year on that song. There's a couple of verses that stood out to me so far this year. That verse on Life of the Party was up there for verse of the year for me. That song alone, to me, in my opinion, was better than any song on Drake's CLB album. I mean, Life of the Party, if he would have came out with that joint officially, that would have been better than any song, hands down, that Drake had on Certified Lover Boy. Just saying, little food for thought right there. But this is AP, and I will check y'all later. Thank y'all for watching, for real. And check you later. Peace, blessings, and one love.